want to tell you a secret. Dual shotgun builds in AC6 absolutely crush the arena. I'm going to show you a build that's capable of owning every single arena encounter in the game in under 30 seconds. Sometimes well under that. But firstly, let's take a look at how it handled the final S-tier opponents in the game without my commentary, so that you understand what you're about to learn. And don't worry, this isn't going to take long. Just make sure to pay attention because it will show you how the build is played as well as how powerful it is.
Combat mode.
Yes, you just saw that. The final arena encounter done in 18 seconds. So how did we do it? Well, through the magic of having a near perfect rotation of weapons. As we watch the build destroying every class level boss in the arena, I'm going to explain in segments exactly what we're running, why, and how we're using it so that you too can absolutely dominate the arena in Armored Core 6. The build is centered around dual shotguns, not just because they're cool and fun to use, but they also hark back to my love of massive burst damage cannon builds in the MechWarrior games. We're using these Zimmerman shotguns for this to ensure great performance even at mid-range. If you don't have access to these yet, don't worry, you can use the Hanneman shotguns which unlock far earlier as a stopgap. We keep it fairly close, which is easy to do in the arena. If you have terrain, use it to approach your opponents and let off both salvos quickly. Assuming you land both hits, the stagger meter will rocket up and we'll be able to continue our rotation. And this is the important part. We now follow up with hits from our two shoulder-mounted Big Daddies. Now the real pain is inflicted. First up is the Stun Needle Launcher, which is unlocked later into the campaign. If you don't have access to this yet, don't worry, you can use the laser cannon in its stead. This got me through most of the arena to the endgame. The needle launcher will multi-hit enemies if timed well, and likely get them fully staggered for you, which primes us to follow up with the big pain, the Songbird's Grenade Cannon. The Grenade Cannon is a fantastic ground and pound finisher when your opponent is either staggered or recharging their energy. It also perfectly synergizes with our reverse joint legs since they're able to launch us into aerial combat effortlessly. After just a single rotation, you can see we've taken half of Hermit's HP down. Now it's just a matter of getting in there with the shotguns to mop up and unload the big guns when he's immobilized. As you can see, the Stun Needle makes for an astounding finisher, multi-hitting enemies for absurd damage. But weapons are only a small part of the picture. How are we supporting this with the rest of our core loadout? I want to show you how to survive these encounters as well as build a platform which can support all these weapons. We're using Kasuar 44Z in the head slot for the simple reason that it has the highest attitude stability. Higher attitude stability equals we get staggered less, which is absolutely critical in the arena, as we'll see later. In this battle against Swinburne, we're not doing much other than peppering away at his armor. Until he gets staggered, that is, and that's when the massive damage comes out. But beware that this can work in reverse too. If the enemy is able to stagger you, you can basically kiss goodbye to a good chunk of your AP, so we must avoid this with our loadout at all costs. In that spirit, we're using the VE40A in our core slot in order to jack up the stability even more. If you don't have access to this, simply use whatever has the next highest stability in your collection. In the arms slot, it's the very slender Nachtriger 46E, simply for the firearm specialization. We want to make sure that every single pellet of our shotguns hits so that we build that stagger. This really comes in handy when fighting fast-moving cores like Shinobi in 3 dimensions. Even though this is only the D rank examination, his nature makes him a little trickier for our build. We have to build up the stagger with our shotguns, and only once he's incapacitated are we able to bring to bear the big guns. A critical part of our strategy is being able to effortlessly switch up to the air in order for the grenade cannon to do maximum damage, even if the opponent tries to evade. The way we do this is with the spring chicken legs, giving us massive initial upward thrust while creating a strong platform for all these guns. Again, if you don't have access to this yet, simply use whichever reverse joint legs you do have access to. To boost around, we're using the BST G2, which gives us good sustained movement even though we're technically a medium/heavy core. This evasive ability is important because we're not spec to face tank everything. As an alternate, you can run the Alula 21E to get better evasive bursts if you're more about that From Software Souls-like dodge timing meta. Our mobility is what allows us to maintain this relentless, aggressive onslaught against our opponents. In this battle against Middle Flatwell, we're not letting off, even though we get momentarily staggered. And that's where our attitude stability really comes in, from staggered to turning it around and winning the battle in a matter of seconds. The FCS G2 gives us very strong mid-range performance, which is where we'll be doing the majority of our fighting. Any further out and our shotguns don't do much. Any closer in and it's difficult to miss anyway. Just make sure you're not trying to snipe anyone. That's not what this loadout is for. The battle against Honest Brute shows us the importance of sticking to our combat range Goldilocks zone. Too close and he singes us with the flames. Meanwhile, too far and our shotguns simply aren't landing any pellets. Once again, we see the power of stagger. As soon as he's immobilized on the ground, the battle is virtually over as we bring our rotation of massive guns to bear.
This concludes B rank evaluation. Well done.
Our generator is the VP-20S, simply because it fits our needs. No deeper thought there. If you find something else which fits your purposes better, by all means, feel free to use that instead. And finally, as you're seeing in the later battles, my best in slot for expansion is Pulse Armor. It's basically free AP you can bring to bear in case you want to try some reckless all or nothing charges. You can time it to match when your opponent casts their own armor, except you've got the advantage of the stun needle to completely melt through theirs in a single hit. You have to unlock Pulse Armor as an OS upgrade before it becomes available. Conveniently, OS points are exactly what these arena battles are going to earn you. As our final battle, when I saw the intro to the A rank evaluation, I remember being worried by all the tanky core parts, thinking it would take forever to whittle Thumb's AP down. Luckily, there was nothing to worry about. This was one of the most AFK battles of all. We began with ground and pound to take off to close to half the AP near immediately. I then reminded myself of why shotguns shouldn't be used as aerial sniper rifles and then quickly course corrected by closing the distance to finish things. Once again, our needles sealed the deal. Of all the battles, for me it was the D rank evaluation that was the most difficult with this build. I used the pulse armor to soak up some more damage instead of going for the straight kill time. Otherwise though, adhering to the rotation, keeping it aerial, and using your opportunities to inflict massive damage will absolutely melt through every arena encounter. If you enjoyed this easy mode guide, consider subscribing and joining us for all the coming AC6 content. In fact, my review of the entire game is almost done, after which I'll do a series of build guides to crush the campaign with. I hope to see you for that.
Time to get to work, 16.